So I experienced a little bit of technical difficulty, so we're going to have to send out this new live link to everyone. So I'm going to do that and allow you all to get into the room with us. So um, I have my husband here helping me.
Whoop, whoop.
Babe, are you able to make a comment in the other live and let them know
Mhm.
to come join the new one? Yes, so waiting. Okay, somebody's here because they just hit a thumbs up. So, who did that? Battle. Okay, there, boom. Okay, so yes, come on over, come on over. I'm so sorry, you guys, for the technical difficulty. I am learning technology. So, are you able to hear me okay? That's one of the first things I want to make sure you can hear me okay. I want to pull up my chat so I'll be able to see you guys. But I also don't know how to do that. uh, chat. My husband's, he's going to have to help me.
Let's see. Let's see. Good morning. Good morning. Saying good morning to all. I hope your Saturday morning. Well, it's Saturday morning for us. I don't know about you all. So let's do this. Boom shakalaka. Nope. Boom. Nope. I don't want to hit that.
No, that's an X. That's going to end the live.
Yeah. But I feel like that's the only way. Boom. 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 This is fun. Fun times. Good times.
This is, I guess I should have done it on the computer. Then maybe that would have. Okay, orientation is locked. Oh my gosh, you guys.
At least we are not doing a video on how to do a live.
uh, so we will be talking about how to write your first book in 90 days. So that's what we are here to do. And we'll just have to duel this, I guess. We can type in the chat. My husband will type in the chat. But if you are here for the writing your book in 90 days, just let me know in the chat. That's what you're here for. Because obviously, again, the technical difficulties that will have to be worked through next time. So,
And even let us know where you're viewing from, right? Because for those that don't know, we are in Tampa, Florida. However, we would love to know where you are viewing from to even be able to get an idea of where the next publisher will be, right? Because in writing a book, you will be publishing your book. We're excited about you doing so. And so we would love to get to know where that place, right, will be impacted because of the work that you have. So let us know. Let us know in the comment section, where are you viewing from? Let's just start that. Let's start that interaction. Okay, we're gonna interact, we're gonna talk, we're gonna learn, and by the end of this time together, you'll be able to know how to write your book in 90 days, right? That's the goal. That's the goal. So let us know, where are you viewing from? That's the first question. Okay, it's gonna be interactive. We don't want it to be boring. We don't want this to be stale. We want this to be interactive as well as educational. So, and fun. I like to have fun. That's what I'm here for. I'm the fun part. That's what the F is for. Some say Florida, I say fun. So
fun.
I don't see you commenting yet, right? I'm still waiting and looking and waiting. But it's okay. We're gonna give you this information at the end of the day. So fun times, good times. What you going? What you got, my dear?
I am typing in the new link for people on Facebook,
Okay.
so that they can come and join us. Because again, it is meant to be interactive. So I know I was sending out messages yesterday, trying to be, proactive and on my stuff.
There it is.
But yeah, so I do apologize
But it's
for the
okay.
waiting.
As you're coming in, let us know where you are viewing from. I mean, it's all right. We all in here together. Where are you viewing from? We are currently in Tampa, Florida. However, things are gonna change soon. But we're not here for that. We're here for you and helping you write your book in what? 90 days? 90 days? It can happen.
Yeah, so I'm super excited. Um, oh, I have somebody. Sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm literally, somebody's trying to get on. I'm trying to send all these messages. Please bear with me, you guys. I just want to make sure that nobody misses anything. I promise we will be getting started in literally like, I don't know, 30 seconds or less. But like Ricky said, in the meantime, definitely let us know where you are from, where you are joining us from. We still don't have any messages in the chat, and this is going to be, you're going to get the most out of this by being interactive with the presentation. I'm going to be asking some questions because I really do want to genuinely see you be able to write the book that you have on your heart. And so, yeah, that's what we're here to do. That's what we're here for. So make sure that you are commenting. I'm finishing out the last of sending people these links. Again, I do apologize.
They tried to stop us.
Yes.
We had to be overcomers, right? That's a part of even writing a book as well. You have to adapt, you have to grow, and you have to keep going, right? Remember your why, which is going to be a part of what we're going to talk about. But remember why you're doing it and who you're doing it for, which in this case, we're doing this for you all. So we said, okay, we have to keep going. We have to persevere. We have to figure out a new link and send out to all the people who wanted to be a part of this call, the link. And so even as we're doing this right now, know that this will be a part of your journey as well. And writing your book is not just gonna happen, right? Because you say it's gonna happen, but you're gonna have to make sure time is allotted for writing this book, space is allotted for it, as well as perseverance and endurance, right? Because it's gonna be times where you say, I don't wanna do it. And that's just the part where you have to push through and endure and overcome. And so
Yes.
there's even an opening question that I was like, oh, Crystal, beautiful way to start it off, because it even gives you the mindset of why you're even doing this book and the outcome that you want to do for your book. So hit them with that, my dear.
I have an icebreaker question. Is that the question you're thinking about?
Sure. I mean, do what you do.
Okay, so icebreaker question, and I do want you to answer this in the chat. The icebreaker question, and we're going to come back to it later, is what is something you could talk about for hours? So I know I've seen that prompt on Facebook. I don't know why I always feel compelled to answer that question, but if there was any one topic you could talk about for hours, what would it be? And write that in the chat. We want to see it in the chat. What is something that you could talk about for hours? The Lord, hands down. I love it. And so if we were being even more specific, I love that, Anna. If we were being even more specific though, what about the Lord could you talk about for hours? His faithfulness, his kindness, his love. What would you talk about for hours? That hey, I could sit here, I could give you everything you need on talking about the Lord just from personal experience or wherever, however it comes through. What is something that you could talk about for hours? You have that information, that life experience right now today. What would that be? I know we had Anna answer. Does anybody else?
That's it. And as writers, you have to get used to writing.
Have an answer. Yes, this is an exercise.
That's
This
it.
is an icebreaker exercise. So you got to get used to writing, as
That's
Ricky
it.
said. So I'm thinking I'm on the call with people that like to write. So let's write it in the chat.
That's it. That's it.
Let's start being bold about our writing and what we are writing. Write down what is something that you could talk about for hours. Ricky, what's something you could talk about for hours?
Wow, I could talk about like giving people excitement and high energy and enjoyment in life.
Okay.
I could talk about that.
Okay, I love that. I love that. So I'm excited because I'm going to jump right in. Okay, his holiness, the algorithms of his mind. I love that. The security of his faithfulness and the sovereignty of his love. Yes, Anna, that is amazing. I love that. So this is going to come in handy in a little bit.
Nice.
But yes, I love that. I hope the rest of you are also thinking about if I could talk about something for hours, what would it be? Again, let's keep that thought in our mind. I am going to be sharing with you today 5 things that you need to do to be able to write your book in just 90 days. I know some people are like, 90 days, that's too quick of a turnaround. It's not. I've done it, and I promise you it's not. And I am going to be sharing with you those 5 steps. I'm really excited because I believe that so many people have stories on the inside of them that really need to be shared with the world and shine a light on the information that they have. It can make other people's life better. And so I want to help you get that out. Too many people walk around for years saying, I'm going to write a book, and then we never see the book. And so
That won't be you.
it's time to make that shift.
There it is.
It's not going to be you.
There it is.
So I'm excited. The very first thing that you need to do when you want to write a book is you need to decide what your genre is going to be. And so I do want to ask you guys, how many of you on the call want to write a nonfiction style book or a fiction style book? And just so we're clear, nonfiction books are books that are based on truth and reality. They are based on, life experiences, and they normally are teaching people something. So who wants to write a nonfiction book and who wants to write a fiction book? A fiction book is something that is made up. It's just a story you thought up in your mind and you want to, write it out.
Yep.
A lot of movies and things are fiction. So let me know in the chat, are you working on writing a nonfiction book or a fiction book? Let me know in the chat. And remember, typing in the chat, because we're working on being writers.
That's
and
it.
if you want to be a writer, writers have to write.
That's it.
So this is a great way to exercise that. So let me know, are you working on a fiction book or a non-fiction book project?
I want to do, while they're typing, I'll say me. I want to do a nonfiction.
Okay.
Yep. I'm
Ricky
gonna
wants to
do
do
this with you all. I'm gonna do a book in 90 days too.
Yes, Ricky wants to do a nonfiction book.
Yes.
So let me know in the chat, do you want to do a fiction book
get
or
it.
a nonfiction book? Now, with that, there are both and a children's book. I love that because I love children's books as well. Can't possibly.
Probably can.
Can possibly a screenplay. I love that. I also have a desire one day to write a book that will be able to be converted into a screenplay. So I'm here for that. I love that. That's Ricky tapping in as a nonfiction book. So, okay. Awesome. I love that. So we have a variety, but we'll be able to cover some things. I am going to be speaking a lot to the nonfiction category on this call, but definitely there are some tips that I'll be able to give in the future concerning writing fiction books as well, that are not going to deviate too far from the things that we're stating here. So you'll still be able to take this and start to run with it.
Right.
So the first thing that I want to share with you are the types of nonfiction books, because there's not just one type of nonfiction book. Books should be written in different styles. And so there are 5 types of nonfiction books. I'm going to go over them quickly, briefly with you all. So types of nonfiction books. The first is a how-to book. We know what that is. It's telling you how to do something. I know, Anna, you were talking about the holiness of God. So maybe how to understand the holiness of God, or how to understand the algorithm of God's mind.
That's the one.
These are how-to books. It's going to be teaching people step by step how to do something. Another type of nonfiction book is a self-help book. And a self-help book normally presents thoughts and ideas to people that help them understand how to grow in an area. So maybe if you were going to do a self-help book on the security of God's faithfulness, you would be allowing people to understand how to go from one thought of how it works to another thought of how the security of God's faithfulness works. So it's understanding how people can live in and apply a certain type of information. A third type is a pop culture book, which is normally an investigative or observational type of book. So you're looking at something that's happening in the world and you're bringing a new thought process or perspective to that, and it takes a bit of research and things like that, but that's what that type of book is.
So far we said how to,
Self-help, pop culture.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so there's only two more.
All right.
The fourth type is a narrative.
Mm.
And a narrative can be written in two different ways. And this will be great for you, Anna, because a lot of children's books are written in the narrative form, actually. And so there's the narrative fable, which a lot of children's books are because they're not true stories, but fables are stories that are written with meaning for you to
Tell a story.
understand something or learn a lesson behind it. And so it's not a ton of words, especially in a children's book, but you can have whole novels. A great example of this type of book is like The Alchemist. That is a type of book that is a narrative fable. So technically it's a fiction, but it's based on a real truth. And so that's why it's still placed in this nonfiction category. And then, or it could just be a narrative that's like a memoir. And so that's also going to be placed in that narrative type of outline. And then lastly, number 5 is an essay. And the essay style book takes you back to like when you were in high school and you would present your argument or your hypothesis in the first paragraph, and then you have different bodies of paragraphs following that support what that is, and then lastly your conclusion. So those are the 5 different types of nonfiction. Again, that's how-to, self-help, pop culture, narrative, and essay.
So even with that, what's your favorite? Do you have a favorite out of the top 5? What's your favorite book that falls within one of those classes, from how-to self-help to pop culture to narrative, as well as the essay?
Yes, essay.
What's your favorite one? Let me put mine in the chat. Let me see.
What's your favorite one? Or even
I love self-help books.
what type of book do you think the book that you will write would be? Do you think you would want to write a how-to book that explains to people how to do something, a self-help book that's presenting thoughts and ideas to people and helping them learn how to navigate those new perspectives and live them out? Do you want to write a pop culture book that looks at things going on in the world and giving perspectives on that? A narrative that can either be a memoir or a fable or an essay style. Which one do you think that you would most engage with for your upcoming book project?
And the beautiful thing about knowing which one is your favorite, right, or which book falls within this class, is because all writers must first be avid readers, right?
Yes.
It's very pertinent and necessary if you are, and as you are launching your book in 90 days, writing your book in 90 days, you also have to be a reader as well.
Yes.
And so as you read, you develop the skills and the know-how and the understanding of how to put together a book the proper way. So that's even more the reason why we're asking that question. And as we're giving you the information, it's like, okay, I'm getting the tools.
Yes, I told Ricky the other day, good writers are avid readers. And now that you even have this concept in mind, when you read a book, you'll be able to see this outline.
Nice.
In different books that you're reading, you'll say, oh, wow, like I see this progression, and it's really important.
Yep.
So the next thing that you're going to do after you decided on your genre, okay, I love that, a narrative. I love a good narrative, Anna. And so after you've decided what your genre is and you pick the type of book that you're going to write for the genre, you need to create an outline for your book. Outlines are so fun because they are the roadmap.
Okay.
They are the roadmap. And a lot of times we're really passionate about what we have to say, and we'll start writing without our roadmap.
Okay.
But who goes on a road trip cross country without a GPS or a map? And so basically, when you start writing without having a clear and defined outline, it's literally like saying, I'm going to drive from Florida to California. I know the direction I'm going in, and so I'll make it there.
Okay. One day.
Without a map.
Okay.
You need the map. And so one of the things that I want to, for a moment, just a moment, zero in on here is the importance of writing based on a concept, not just an idea. Okay, we have Anna in the chat. I've noticed this special grace on telling my testimony of the Lord. So that's why I chose narrative.
That's beautiful.
Yes. And I want you to know that the way that a narrative is written, it's called the Arc in Three Acts, but the way that a narrative is written for people telling testimonies, that is one of the highest selling book types. So you've picked an amazing category in it. You picked an amazing
And we'll get
category.
the details of that. I even have a question as you talk about
Yes.
the outline scenario. So, with writing an outline, is it something we can do like even in our notes on our phone, or is it something where like what does the outline look like?
So yes, so an outline in brief
Yeah.
can look. It's going to look different
Okay.
depending on the type of book that you're writing.
Okay.
So there's organized lists. There's the traditional type, like I said, with the narrative. There's the arc in three acts.
Okay.
So it really does depend on your book type,
Okay.
but in a broad sense, I
Yes.
would say you can definitely do it in your phone.
Okay.
Or you can do it on a piece of paper. It's up to
Okay.
you. But
Okay.
one of the things that you want to do is highlight what it is that you want to touch on in the book. And so if we're talking about Anna's life and we're looking at a narrative style, the arc in three acts format is going to say she is going to start with what life looked like
Okay.
before she was catapulted
Okay.
into the experience that led to her testimony. We are going to get a brief look at what Anna's normal life looked like. What did normal look like for Anna?
Okay.
And then that's going to be the first act.
Okay.
The second act is going to be, and that's why it's an arc in three acts. The second act is going to include the plot point one, which is what was that catalyst, that moment that changed everything. That, you know,
God moment.
yes. Well, not even the God moment per se, but what happened. Did
Okay, I
you
got
know
you.
she trip and fall and break her
Tragic
leg?
something.
What
Mhm.
tragic thing? What thing happened that even caused the need for a testimony? So that first plot point is going to be what happened
Yes,
that
ma'am.
changed everything, or that forced a change to be necessary. As we continue through, we're going to start for the next, in that plot one, we're going to continue to see these different plot twists. Okay, so maybe let's say if in her testimony, one of the things that happened was she lost her home. She lost her home. She's living out of her car. I'm making this up. She's living out of her car, and then during living out of her car, all these things start to happen. She finds out she's pregnant. She's living in a car. She goes to stay at a home. Like, all these things are happening. But then finally, she gets an interview for a job, and it's like, this is going to work out. But then she doesn't end up getting the job. They have to rescind the offer. Like, we're seeing all the things that are happening as she's trying to restabilize her life.
Okay, so that's how you do it in a narrative, right?
Yes, and
I
then-
didn't want to put you down a rabbit hole, right? Because you
No.
already okay.
No, and
Okay.
so then the next thing that happens is there's going to be that transformational moment at the end, and that's where God steps in. We see the testimony, and then we're going to see the resolution, and then the last act is the new normal. So those are the things that would happen. So, but when she's writing her outline, she has to pick the points that
Okay.
she's wanting to say. If it's a self-help book, you're just listing out the categories and then the points for those categories.
Okay.
So it really depends on the book type, how that outline is going to be written, but you need to do that
Okay.
because
It's a roadmap.
it's a roadmap. And I think a lot of times people start writing books when they have an idea for a book, not a concept.
Okay.
And the difference is an
This is
idea is a broad perspective of what your book is going to be about. I'm going to write a book about faith. Okay, but what about faith? And so that's an idea. A concept is likened to when somebody has an idea of what they want a house to look like, but you need a blueprint to actually build it. So that's going to be the difference. The outline is your blueprint to build your book. That's basically what it is. So it's important to make sure you don't just have an idea for a book. That's your starting point. You have developed it, done the necessary research, found the scriptures in the Bible, really researched your life, thought about the timelines that different things happen, the order they happen, all of those things to build out the blueprint that's needed to be able to write your book.
Oh, that's good. I'll make sure I put it in the chat so I can even have it for myself, right? As one that looking to do a book himself. I said, okay, there's some things that I need to remind myself of in the chat. So that's what you see in the chat, and we're gonna keep going, my dear. What else?
Yes. So after you write your outline, you can finally start to write your book.
Fun times.
Yes. And so this process is basically broken down into 6 weeks to write and 6 weeks to become published.
Okay.
And so we've made it to the part where it's like, okay, we're sitting down and we're writing this book. Now, when you are writing your book, how many words should be in your book? I want you guys to take a guess, type it in the chat. How many words do you think your nonfiction book should be to be able to be considered? There's a lot of flexibility in it, but there is an average word count for how many words your book should be to be able to be considered a nice, appropriate length nonfiction book.
Wow.
Ricky knows the answer because I told him the other day.
You know the answer.
So he's not going to type it, but type it in the chat. How many words do you think your book should be for it to be an appropriate length nonfiction book? Just take a guess. And it doesn't matter if you're right or if you're wrong. We're just, keeping up engagement, thinking about how long do we think this book should be.
And even give you the understanding of how long books really are, right? But it's not even a daunting long. It's just an understanding, right? If you don't know, you don't know.
And so, okay, no guessers, no takers. So I'm just going to tell you guys. The appropriate length for a book should be approximately 50,000 words. Now, you may be thinking, oh my gosh, 50,000 words. I'm going to tell you how we're going to break that 50,000 words down so that you can be an author, write your first draft of your book in 6 weeks. So, writing 50,000 words, that's only 2,500 words a week. Okay. You're thinking, Crystal, that's still a lot. That's only 750 words a day for 5 days. So writing 750 words each day. So you still get 2 days off. And you're thinking, Crystal, that still seems like a lot. It's 3 pages. Okay. That 750 words is going to get you to 3 pages. Now, this is the gotcha moment. Remember when I said, hey, what's something you could talk about for hours? And everybody said and thought of something that they could talk about for hours. 750 words is about a 5-minute speech. And so if you could talk about something for hours.
What's 5 minutes?
What's 5 minutes?
I see what you did there.
What's 5 minutes? If you could talk about it for hours, what's 5 minutes? And so
somebody probably thinking like, but I type slow.
And it's okay to type slow, but you're literally just thinking, you're saying that speech in your mind, or maybe you're saying it out loud. You could literally sit at the desk and start saying all the things that you would say, type it. And all you have to do is do that for 5 minutes a day.
Now, even do you recommend there's apps out there that can record hear what you're saying?
Yes. So Otterly AI or Otter AI is one of the apps. You can actually use it for free that you can use to dictate your book. And so find time,
it's a gem.
Map out what it is, again, because we're working off of an outline. So get your outline, know what topic you're going to be speaking on for 5 minutes that day. Open up your Otter AI and start 5 minutes, set the timer. Every day for 5 minutes, I am going to talk about this subject in my book.
Nice.
And again, if you could talk about it for hours,
what's 5 minutes?
What's 5 minutes?
That's good.
This shouldn't be a problem.
That's good.
And so
you got it, Anna. You got it, Anna. We got it. We're gonna do this together.
So that is one of the ways that I would say you can break down this 50,000 words.
Okay.
And so then it's like, I could do this. It
Yeah.
sounds like a lot, but again, when you're thinking about something that you could talk about for hours, and that's why I said, what is something you could talk about for hours? Because that is what your book should be about.
There it is.
If you can only talk about it for 3 minutes, maybe that's a subsection in your book.
Okay.
And so that's one thing that you're going to learn as well as you begin to write. What should be a subsection and what should be a greater title.
Okay.
So that's how you break down those 50,000 words and make it a lot less daunting.
So then once I have my 50,000 words, then what do I do? Because I feel like I can do that in a week.
And so, and it's possible. It's
Okay.
very possible. And that's why I'm like, there are people, Hemingway has books that he's literally written in a weekend that were up to 100,000 words.
Okay.
And so it's very possible to write this book quickly. And so once you have your words all out on paper, you're going to move on to step 4. And step 4 is where you're going to start to get your editing going.
Wait, but hold on. What about my title? We haven't talked about.
We're
the
not
title.
doing our title yet.
you
As you
start
start
with
your
your
book,
title.
no, as you do your book, you'll have a working title
Okay.
that keeps you centered around the thought process and what it is you're going to be doing. But we don't have a title yet. We don't have a
See,
title
I
yet.
thought the title drives the why, but okay.
We don't have a title yet, but you're going to start your editing process. You're going to need to go back and you're going to need to reread the things that you've written. Okay, this fits, this doesn't fit, this should
Okay.
actually go over here. You'll start moving things around.
Okay.
Okay, and then we're going to go into step 4. We're going to create our cover, our title, and we're going to write our introduction. People like to write the introduction at the beginning. However, it's best to write your introduction after you've written your book because now you know what's in your book. And it's good to think of your introduction like a closing statement that a lawyer might give in court. This is what's selling your book because it's in the very front. And so people are going to pick up your book or they're going to sample it on Amazon or what have you, and they're going to see that introduction first, and it's going to give them an overview of what's in the book. How can I give you an overview of 50,000 words I haven't written? So you do that towards the end. So that's what you're going to do. Again, you're getting your cover created because, again, now you can get something created that reflects what's in the book. You are creating your title that accurately reflects what's in the book. And there's some cool tips about titles. You want to keep it short. You want it to be very clear because now people are in a digital age where they're Googling books on faith. Well, if your title doesn't have faith in it,
It won't come up.
because you're wanting to be, super creative and you name it mirrors, well, it's not going to pop up in the search because it doesn't say anything about faith.
Okay.
So you want to be very straightforward and clear, and then you can have your subtitle and stuff. But that's what you're doing in step 4. For the cover creation, use a professional artist. I would say Fiverr. You can get them for really inexpensive. There are really great designers on Fiverr, but hire someone to professionally do your book cover. And like I said, you're doing your introduction. And then the last step is step number 5. So you're going to get an ISBN, and briefly, ISBNs are the number that are associated with your book. Now, Amazon does give free ISBNs. You can publish on Barnes & Noble. They'll give you a free ISBN. Different platforms, BookBaby, will provide ISBNs for you. However, those ISBNs do not travel with your book. What does that mean? That means that when a book store is trying to look up your book, they will not be able to, multiple will pop up if you've used one ISBN at Amazon, one ISBN at Barnes & Noble, one ISBN at BookBaby. It's going to look like there are 5 different versions of your book.
Okay.
And you really, a professional step is to have one ISBN for your book. You do have to get those separately from Boker, is the official ISBN provider in the United States. Our book publishing company also provides ISBNs that can be universal and used anywhere. So you need an ISBN though. The long and short of it is you need a number that identifies your book.
So it's like a social security number for a book.
Yes,
Okay.
and it's going to help show the ratings for your book. So if you sold 10,000 copies, but you have 5 different ISBNs, it's not going to look like you sold 10,000 copies. It's going to look like you sold 150 here, 2,000 here, 1,000 here. It's not going to culminate the number.
Copy.
So you want one ISBN. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to decide how you want to publish. And so there are different ways to publish. One of the things you can do is try to go with a major publishing house. The steps to do that, you have to get a literary agent, because publishing houses like a Random House or something, they're not just going to let you submit your book. You have to submit it through a literary agent. To get a literary agent, you have to write a query letter. That is a very specific style and type of letter that markets your book to a literary agent, trying to get them to pick your book up. Once you have that literary agent, they are going to go and they are going to present your book to different publishers and try to get a deal. One of the things that I would quickly note about getting published with a major publishing house, you are selling your book. So you no longer own the rights to what you wrote. So like Anna was saying, maybe writing a book that could be turned into a movie, that would be the publishing house turning it into a movie and owning that. You would not own or be able to have the access to that money, like, because you sold that story.
Copy
So that is something to keep in mind when you're deciding what route to go in.
Okay.
I'm just informing you. You decide what you want to do. You can self-publish, and that's where you write your book. You don't need an agent or anything. You maybe pop on Amazon or Barnes & Nobles or whoever, and you just publish your book yourself. And then the third option I would say is like a micro publisher. That's kind of like what Ricky and I have, is like a micro publishing company, where it's a hybrid between a self-publishing but publishing with an actual publisher. So you would get your ISBN number from them. You get to keep the rights to your book. Depending on the publishing company you're going with, you may be able to keep the rights to your book, but have the official name of a publishing company on your book.
Right.
And so,
and then sometimes you're also able to be within that cohort of writers. So if you have another project that you want to come out with or do, you're within that database or network of other writers that is encouraging, that is motivating, that is also educating on things to do, so that your next project will be another bestseller project.
Yes. So there are a couple different options when it comes to publishing. Those are a brief overview of those options that you have. And the last thing I would say, just to give a tip, so we went over our 5 things that you need to do. So 1, you need to decide your genre. 2, you need to create an outline. 3, you need to actually write your book. Again, we're looking at about 50,000 words. 4, you need to create your cover, title, and introduction. And 5, you need to get your ISBN and decide where you're going to publish. Those are the 5 steps that you're going to need to write your book.
And if you have any questions, definitely start thinking about them as you finish your last part. Then we'll be able to ask.
Yes, we'll go into the Q&A. And so I have some questions that I would like you to consider when you're writing your book. The first is, who is the book for? Before you ever put pen to paper for an outline or anything, you need to know who your book is for. You need to know what new thoughts, perspectives, or information are you going to be bringing. There are tons of books that are already out on a varying number of topics. So what is going to set your book apart? What's in your book that's missing from other books? And then knowing what your book is going to provide, the outcome. So there's a question that Ricky mentioned. I don't have it written right here, but basically a fill in the blank question that you want to know. If someone were to pick up and read your book, they would say, I'm so glad you wrote this book. It's blank. What would be in that blank? Anna, I am so glad you wrote this book. It's blank.
The algorithms of God's mind. It blank.
So, what would that blank say? If you're writing a book on anything, on faith, I'm so glad you wrote this book on faith. It helped me understand how to trust God more. I'm so glad you wrote this book on faith. It helped me understand what true faith looks like. I'm so glad you wrote this book on, name that thing. It helped me. How did it transform that person's life? What changed? What was the shift that occurred? So there's so many other things that could be shared. You gotta build your market, different things like that. There's more things. Oh yay, Anna! It changed the way I think God is working in my life. Yes. And so when you have that answer, you want to be able to make sure everything you're writing in your book points people back to that point. Everything that you write should point people back to that point. Each chapter, the introduction and the closing of each chapter should help people think and point to, okay, God may be working this is how I can see how God is working in my life. How does what you're writing point to that? So there's, again, a lot more information on writing books, but those are the 5 things that you really need to know and 3 questions you need to be asking yourself to launch you into being able to write this book in 90 days. And the biggest portion of it all is writing the 50,000 words, but we already told you how to break that down very simply. And so this is what it takes. This is how you do it.
I love that. I love that. Even with that, we're even thinking about, it's a need to have a group, right? To have a network of writers to be able to come together, to bounce ideas off each other, because yes, this was a period of time where we're able to know, okay, like the idea of how to create a book. I get it, how to create a book, okay, but I have this thought, I have this, I have that. But even with that, my question is, like, what mindset should I have as a writer writing this book in these 90 days? Like, what should I do? What should I think about? Is it that statement? Should that be the driving statement that I have every time I put pen to paper or I'm typing on the computer?
So I would say the first thing you need is an idea.
Yes.
Is an idea for a book. And then the second thing that you need is to know the type of book that you're writing. Again, we talked about those 5 types of books.
Right.
Because what will take your amazing book idea and throw it all out of whack is if it's not in proper order. Imagine going to a movie and things are just happening, not in any specific order, not any. We've all seen a bad movie where we walked away like, what was that? Like, what just happened?
Right.
Like, but that's what happens when people are reading a book that don't stick to a specific structure. So knowing, is this a how-to book? Is this a self-help book? Is this, a pop culture, a narrative, an essay? You need to have a structure for your book. A well-structured book, even if it doesn't meet the 50,000 words, people are going to like it because it was structured well. And also, they're able to hold, accept, and retain the information better because it has structure. And top-selling books all follow one of these types of structures that are in the nonfiction realm. Now, when you're in fiction, there's different things, but even those, a lot of those really stick to the arc in 3 acts. But they need a specific type of structure. So I would say you need to know your idea, you need to know your structure. Those are 2 things you need to know up front. And then from there, you're thinking about, who is this for? And not just on a high level, it's for everyone. Everyone needs faith. I am really big on, if you are trying to sell to everyone, you will reach no one. Does everyone need faith? Absolutely. However, what specific storyline do you have that's going to reach a particular type of people? I want to reach women who have lost everything and had to find a way back. I want to reach women who have had a child out of wedlock and still found God's grace. Like, very specific. I have a question. Anna, when do you know you have a story that would be better told as a multiple book story? When it exceeds, I would say, 70,000 words. So when you're looking at nonfiction, a sweet spot is going to be at about 50,000 words, maybe up to 70,000, 80,000 tops. When you start to extend beyond that word count, then you need to start saying, okay, do I have enough to create a whole nother book? If it's just another 10,000 words, okay, it's just a longer type of book. But that's what I would say. And then as well, if it's multiple books, if you're presenting multiple ideas. So I would say, I know, and I'm going to scroll back up quickly to see what you were talking about for your book types. The holiness of God and the algorithms of God's mind. Those are two different topics. Now, if you're using these two different topics all to point at when people read your book on faith, understanding how he works in their life differently, well, you need to understand the holiness and the sovereignty of God to be able to understand how he's working and why how he's working looks different than traditionally. The algorithm of God's mind. Now you're getting into, okay, how does he work? How does this look? And then that points to what his faithfulness looks like when it's working. So these all can fit into one book. It depends on how it's written and how much detail is given to each section. So I would say it's going to point to, again, just the thought of what does this look like and how many words do I have to attribute, as well as are you selling a book? Are you building a brand?
That's the one.
Or are you doing both? So are you saying, okay, I just have these thoughts that I have to get out, I need to share, and so I want to write this one book, I want it to help people, and then I'm going on to basket weaving, and I want to talk about that. Okay, well, basket weaving and faith, they don't really intertwine, so, it's just the thing. If you're building a brand, you're saying, no, I want to be able to have speaking engagements that are associated with the books that I write and things like that, then that's also going to dictate and determine how you are writing your book, how much content you're putting into one book. And so knowing how to structure those things. So again, there's a lot more questions that could be asked that help point people to what they're doing, but knowing then if I'm building a brand that's aligning myself with certain types of information, I want to be able to be a spokesperson, a thought leader in these different spaces, then it also helps you know how to structure a book. If you're like, no, my thing is faith, I want to help people understand faith, but you have thoughts about overcoming childhood trauma, you may not write a whole book on childhood trauma, but there's a way that you could weave the thoughts of childhood trauma and how that relate to faith in a chapter of your book on faith. But if you're building a brand, I wouldn't just start writing a whole book on that per se, because you don't want to stray people away from what your brand is. So that's one thing that I would say. So yes, awesome, thank you. Yes, you're welcome. And then that definitely points to, marketing. But we're not going to dive into marketing because you don't just want to write books. You want to write books that sell. But we're going to have more conversations around this. Like Ricky talked, it's important to have a group, because one of the things that happens in the editing process, I know I breezed over that, you start editing your book, peer readers. And it is very helpful when you're in a cohort of sorts, in a group, to have peers that can read your book, because they're going to help you see things that you can't see. You cannot edit your own book. You cannot edit your own book.
Let me type that.
There are adjustments that you can make to your book, but you yourself, in and of yourself, cannot make your book publish ready. You cannot. No one can. I'm talking about, think of the most prolific writer that you know. I personally love to read John Grisham. I think he's a exceptional. I love John Grisham. He has editors. Hemingway has editors. C.S. Lewis has editors. Think of the most amazing writer you know. They all have editors. So who are we to think that we don't need editors? You need an editor. I don't care. And this is beyond the scope of just grammatical editing. You need an editor. They can see things that you cannot see. And so having peers that can read your work will definitely help. And then there are definitely tips and tricks for before you send it to an editor, so it's not, in a belaboring process. That will be able to help. Claudia said it's hard. It's not hard, girl. It's impossible. It's impossible to edit your own book. Again, you can do some pre-reading, proofreading, and all that to help get your book in a certain place. And there are ways to do that. I know one of the tricks that I use, one, you have to step away. You need to step away for a couple days and then go back to read it. But one of the things that I do is I read the book backwards. Like, I will read the sentences in full, but I'll read them from literally the back of the book to the front of the book, because every sentence should make sense by itself. If it doesn't, that's a fragment. I need to fix that. So that's a good way to do some of that pre-editing, but you need an editor.
That's it. Any other questions? That's good. You have me, I'm in thought. My face is what it is because I'm in thought, like, okay. All right. But I know some other challenges are coming, right? And that's going to help even structure the book. It's going to help even how to sell, market the book.
Right. Because all we've done now is talk about how to write a book, not how to sell a book. Because unfortunately, tons of people write books and nobody buys them. Or 10 people buy them because, they got 10 solid friends, 2 family members, whatever. But your story is important enough to make sure that it's going out to the world. So don't take the time to write a book that nobody actually reads. How do you find the time as a mom write? So one, I do it when I know as a mom, a wife, I've written books, mom, wife, full-time job, doing all the things. So how do you find the time to write a book whether you're a mom, a dad, anybody, and you're busy?
Right. Let me even ask, as you're thinking, how many kids do you have, Anna? Right? Because even to what Crystal lined up, we have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old, right? So even give you the idea of the activity of our kids, like they're in the active age, so they're not in a go to the room and do your thing and that. But you have 7 and 5 at home. Bravo to you, Anna. You know what I'm saying? Take a moment to celebrate you, Anna. You are the MVP. So with 5 kids at the home, 7 kids total, what were you about to say, my dear?
Yes, I was gonna say, one, you have to find when you write best.
Nice.
So me trying to write in the middle of the day from like 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., it's a no-go. And it has less to do with what my children may need from me and more to do with how quickly my mind can think at that time. So one of the things you need to do is identify when are you best at writing. So I write best early in the morning or late at night after everybody went to sleep. I am not going to lie and tell you that, you're not going to have to make some sacrifices. There won't be any late nights. No, there will be. Because for a majority of us, you're trying to write a book with a full-time job. You can't discard your other things that you have going on, responsibilities to be able to write this book. And so I would say that's one thing. Find a time that can be sacred to you, whether you got to wake up at 4 a.m. It's only for a certain period of time because you're trying to get to your 50,000 words. You can use those apps and tools, like I said, like Otter AI to help. You can dictate it and it'll type it out for you. Those are things. And I had to learn that it's okay to write in small bursts. We like to feel like we can sit down and write the whole book in a day. It's okay to say, I have 10 minutes, let me write. And also having that clear outline with the notes that you've already written. When you've taken good notes on what you want to write, and it takes 30 seconds to jot down a thought of an idea, when you have good notes on what you want to write, it helps you write it faster.
There it is.
So do your research, have your timelines in order, know the flow that you want to go in. all of those things are going to help you to be able to write faster.
And as a husband, I would say as well, knowing that, I see you, Miss Claudia, with 6 kids. Shouts out to you as well. You've done it. And so even to you, Miss Claudia, and you to Miss Ann as well, from a husband's perspective, when we came together recognizing that Crystal's about to do a book project. Yeah, she's physically putting, notes together and writing words. However, we're doing this project together as a family. That helped her as well to be able to have that free time, to be able to have that solo time, to be able to do things, because knowing that we're doing this project, mommy's gonna need some time to go to herself and write. And so knowing that we're cheering her along and we're doing this book together, it will give your children, it will give your spouse, it will give your significant other or the family collective the understanding that, okay, we're gonna do this and we may have to give mommy some time. And so that may help as well, even for the 5-year-old, right? As we share, we have one in that age bracket. And for the 2-year-old, they, it's gonna have to catch them when they sleep. However, knowing that it's a family project is gonna help. And even from what Claudia said, on your notes and on your phone, when the kids are asleep, that's a part of it too. But that speaks to the sacrifice that you shared.
And I was gonna say too, if you're, everybody doesn't, they're not married, so you could be single. And what I would say is too, you need to be on a schedule, so you have to put the kids on a schedule. And you have to see, not all husbands have the will and the faith like you. And that's true. And so I would say you have to put the kids on a schedule. You need to be on a writing schedule. And so you need to put the kids on a schedule that works for your writing schedule. You got to be in bed by 8. You have to be in bed by 8 because I need to write from 8 to 9, or, whatever it is. So also be building in the structure that's going to be necessary for you to get that time away, and think of it like, okay, no, this is just what it has to be. You can wake up at 5 a.m. all you want to, but you need to stay in the bed because I'm writing from 5 to 6. There's nothing you need at 5 a.m. So you need to stay in the room. And that's something with my son. He wakes up extremely early, and he wants to wake up everyone in the house. And we're like, no, you got to stay in the bed, baby. I'll come get you at 6. I'm writing from 5 to 6. So create a schedule and discipline for the things that are happening in your life. Again, when you're working a job, normally I'll do overtime, but in this season that I'm writing my book, give me 6 weeks to write my book. I'm not doing overtime right now. I need to work my 9 to 5. I need to be off by 5 so I can be home, make dinner, and writing by 7. Whatever it is, create a structured schedule. And again, do it around the times that you write best. When do you feel most inspired? When are you getting those thoughts in your head for the notes of, oh, I could say this about this, this about that? Make sure you're getting that schedule out. Any other questions?
Good ones.
I hope that you guys
have to the mom.
Found this helpful. I'm going to say the 5 things once again. The 5 things that you need to be able to do to write your book. 1, decide your genre.
Love that.
2, create your outline. We already talked about what all that actually means. 3, write your book and start doing your editing. Like I mentioned, that includes like peer reading and things like that. 4, create your cover, title, and introduction. And then 5, get your ISBN and decide how you want to publish. So those are the 5 things.
And even with the 5 things, which one would you say is the most challenging to you? Like, even as you're hearing what she did share, which one is the one that you're like, oh man, like that one I don't know about. I want to do it, but I don't know. Like, let us know what's the pain point that you believe will be for you or has been for you in your writing projects. Out of the 5, which one is the pain point thus far? Like, let us know.
And I know for me, I can share what my biggest pain point was. Nice. My biggest pain point was the 50,000 words. It was actually getting all the words out.
Number 3.
And so, yes, number 3 was actually writing the book, because you get to points where you have writer's block or things like that. And a tip for breaking through writer's block, keep writing. Okay. Keep writing. Even if you are writing things that have nothing to do with what it is, just keep writing, and you can toss it out later. But to get over writer's block, you can't try to think your way through it. You have to write your way through it. So just keep writing. Claudia said
4 and 5.
4 and 5. So we're looking at the
Getting
cover,
the
the
ISBN.
title, and the introduction, and we're looking at the getting the ISBN and deciding how to publish. So I would say the easiest way to overcome those two, one, the title might be hard because you might be trying to create the title before you write the book. So that's going to help you to be able to avert that. Creating the cover, hire somebody to do it. You're a writer, not a graphic designer. Hire somebody else to do it. And then writing the introduction, again, when you're writing it after you already know what's in the book, it's easier to let people know what's in the book that you've already written. So those may be 3 things that help you pass that. And then getting the ISBN, deciding where to publish. Those are just technical things. So, just depending on what of those steps we could help you definitely with that. Anna, my problem is creating a disciplined schedule to facilitate a starting point. Yes, because listen, writers write. At the end of the day, the hardest thing for people that want to write a book to do is normally write the book, but you can't be a writer without writing.
That is true.
Writers write.
Makes sense. And writers read.
Writers write and writers read. And that would be something I would say would help you. So one of the notes that I wrote down, great writers are avid readers, and also great writers write, not just text, tweets, or photo captions. So find ways to write about things that are happening in your everyday life. Whether after dinner you go sit down and write about what dinner was like. Write about what your day was like at work. Write about anything, but start stretching your writing to be beyond, again, a simple text message or something that's only going to be 7 words. Like, write about your day. Write about literally anything. And that's going to help get you in the habit of writing. Claudia, I have a title, but many people have the same name. So again, it's just going to be working through it. It will just be working through it, just depending on, and these are things like in a cohort type setting, we would be able to talk about like, oh, okay, like this week, you would be able to get feedback from people, different things like that to help you point in a better direction for the title, and use subtitles as well.
Claudia already has it done. Is your book done, Claudia? And
yes.
So you're at the end? Is that where you are, right? Because that's even cool to know what part and stage people are within their book writing journey. And so that's cool to even understand what part you're in, Miss Claudia. And if that's where you are, that's a good place to be. And so I see you saw Anna's note.
Yes, Anna, I write every day in my phone, the notes app. I never considered that was writing, and it's writing. And I would say, so now that you realize you are writing, I would say start to count the words. When you're writing in your notes, see, okay, when I'm writing and I'm just jotting down, how many words am I actually writing? And a lot of you would be surprised at how quickly you get to minimum 500 words. Like, you're writing more than you think. A lot of times you're writing more than you think, especially as you identify as a writer. Claudia said, yes, she's done with her book. Okay, so yeah, I mean, you're kind of leaning into, now that you've written your book, I would say, one, go back and identify the style. Because we talked about the genre, but we talked about the style. Does your book fit the formatting that we talked about today? Because that's what's going to make it sell well and read well and sell well. And then start looking into the parts of marketing it. I am at an editing part. It's about the trauma I've been through. Awesome.
No, that's beautiful. And even to be what's beautiful, right? Not the trauma. However, what's beautiful is for you to, as a mother of 6, right, and a wife as well, and living life, you're able to as well put the book to paper and have it all done. And even I believe what you said, that group, that network of writers being able to come together is going to be very beneficial with the steps beyond. And so even with that, I know you said that you have a title that we have to make sure it's more fine-tuned. And then with the editing part, boom, boom, boom. Crystal even talked about, and you even share how hard it is to do it yourself. So even finding someone else that can do it. If you have questions about the who's, definitely let us know. Crystal knows some who's of who can help read through the book and edit the book, and all the various pieces to make sure it all comes together is a part of what you're able to do. And so that's even fun with that. And so Thank you, Miss Anna. Right, it's a peer thing, so we're gonna applaud Miss
Yes.
Claudia on getting it done
Yay,
because I have a
Claudia.
thought within me that I want to be where Miss Claudia is, so I'm cheering her on, knowing that I'm gonna be there too. And I even love the participation of knowing the hurdles because even in writing down what you believe your problem area was, emphasis on the was, we now know that that won't. What we're speaking that won't be the problem going forward. Okay, so the title was your problem, right? The time and all those things was your problem. That won't be anymore because you now know the importance of that being taken care of so that you can complete your book. And so, problem no more. The new has come.
Yes, and Claudia, I didn't see you type it in the chat, but your book is done. I know you said you need to put it in order, but I want you to be answering the question. When people read your book
Mm-hmm.
and they have that takeaway, you can say to yourself, they will say, Claudia, I'm so glad you wrote this book. It helped me blank.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to be thinking about that as you're
Mm-hmm.
going through the editing process
Yep.
to make sure you're clearly communicating everything you would like to.
That's
And she
what's up.
commented, I
Yes,
love
we're gonna
Crystal,
see
you
you
and
on
your
the other
family are
side.
going to
Yes,
South
indeed.
Africa
Fun
so I
times,
can
good times
will
ahead.
keep faith and
Reading
do
out
this.
loud.
So yeah. So I didn't know you were gonna start talking. So I can get there. Yes, keep the faith up. We love it. And listen, let me tell you, and about to work on a book on faith. That's gonna be keeping you encouraged. So yes, we are over the hour. I don't know if Ricky has any closing
No, ma'am,
things.
no.
I'm gonna type my email into the chat. So that you guys, I like to make myself available. But we're definitely gonna have some more lives and things like that to help you guys because like I said, it's important to me that you guys are getting these stories out. You're able to share and say the things that you're looking to say and share.
And even as she's doing that, last point for myself, as she's awakened me, what would be a topic or a thing that you would like to be discussed on the next live? Let us know in the comments. What would be a thing that you would love? Hey, Miss Fatima. What would be one of the things that you would like to have discussed pertaining to writing your book on the next live? Let us know in the comment section, and we'll make sure that is a topic of discussion and that gets clarified and emphasized as well, right? And even if you did come in like Miss Fatima on the back end of this live, know that you will be able to go back.
Yeah.
Okay, so yep, we will post it and you'll be able to go back and hear what is and what was said so that you can be edified and educated to be able to go and do. And we'll be in there, right? So
Yes.
keep the questions coming and we'll make sure those things get answered on the next live. And we'll have some fun with this.
And then there was the question, are we going to schedule it so he can save the date? Yes, we are going to schedule it.
As we're trying to schedule our live.
Yes, we're in transition. But how did this 10 a.m. on a Saturday work for you? If you guys could let us know that in the chat, that would be helpful. Would you prefer a weekday evening time or does this Saturday morning time work best for you all? You can let us know so we can try to make ourselves available when you guys are most available. So you can either say, oh, give me like a Thursday night, 7 p.m. or 8, I think later, 8:30 p.m. because, then you get time to get the kids in bed. So like a Thursday at 8:30 p.m. or you like this Saturday morning at around 10 a.m. You can let me know. Okay, mornings or late evenings. Okay, yes. So let us know for the during the week or the weekday. So would you prefer like a during the week in the evening? Is that better for you, Claudia?
And even too, make sure your questions, right? In whatever day we do choose, make
Yes.
sure that we answer the question that you have, because obviously we could be on here talking to each other, but boom. And so I love that. All right, so you're at work on Saturday. In Arizona, nice. So that's like 2 time zones away from where we are.
Right, so that's what she's saying. It's like
And so,
early.
Yep.
But yeah, like Ricky said, make sure you have your questions
3.
because we have a wealth of information
Yep.
on things concerning writing your books, selling your books, all those things. But we can be more specific when we know what your question is.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
making sure you're coming on and getting the value that you're looking for
Yep.
for the time that you're spending with us. I'll join in any day. Y'all go live.
Because
Oh,
as
it's the
well,
love.
there may be needs for like even specific challenges, right? Because an overview of information may not be what's necessary. A specific challenge may be what catapults you or launches you into the finishing and publishing of your book. And so that's even why we're saying, what's your question? Because we'll be able to know what to do with our time as well as your time, because your time is valuable. And so shouts out to you, Miss Anna. Shouts out to you, Miss Claudia, as well. Al, Miss Fatima, those who have chatted in the chat and those who popped in and out. We love you all. We appreciate you all. And feel free, you can drop questions at any time. This video will have the comment section. And so not just now is when your questions can come, but you may look over it again and say, oh, I have a question with that thought. Like I heard it, but I wasn't able to really think about what you said. So drop it in there too.
Alrighty, so we look forward to staying connected with you guys. We will schedule it. I'll let you know when we're gonna have the next live. Be sending some information to you. I would say even check in the what is that feed thing on YouTube called, the community on YouTube, because I'll probably post it there as well. If I have your information, your email or something from some previous contact, I'll make sure I send it directly. But also I'll put it in the community portion of the page, so you'll be able to see it there as well, so you know when it's coming.
Diggity. All right. So we love you all.
Yes, thank you for joining us today.
Yep. You have to exit on that.
All right, peace out.
Woo woo.